which that is not true, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I mean, I know it's always tempting to want to charge with a higher wattage charger, but that heat will then wear your battery on stuff that is not really meant to handle it. So,
Although I think the charging circuit in the phone will regulate.
yeah, I think you're right.
I thought it did that between 20 and 80. Then it slowed down.
Are we still in the help section?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
I have a quick question, please. Um, I keep recently when I'm trying to buy something or whatever, I'm told to scan the Q code that's on my computer screen.
Right.
It's like, okay, so where does it go? Once I do that, I don't know where to go from there.
Are you talking about the little box, the QR code, the little
Yeah.
black and white thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I love it.
I'm so glad I made you happy. Yeah.
I love that you're having problems. Well, are you scanning it with your phone or how are you scanning it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it says.
There's a separate app on the phone to do the QR code scanner.
There
Yeah.
is.
And
Just use your camera.
I just use the camera myself.
Yeah, the camera does it fine.
Yeah.
But where does it I mean? You're supposed to be able to
So
go to.
when you use the camera to scan QR code, down at the bottom of the screen is a little yellow uh, notice. If you tap that, um, that'll activate whatever that Q code is supposed to do.
Now let
So if
me
it's
add
supposed to
what
take you
Dwight,
to a website, it'll activate it and take you to a website. If
Okay,
you're
I don't
supposed to open an app, it'll open the app, that kind of a thing.
I don't have that. I
okay,
mean,
let me add something to what Dwight said because when you scan that, I notice sometimes it'll come up, you'll see it below the QR code. It's like he said, it's a little yellow or yellowy orange thing. But sometimes that can be just a little tricky. Like you got to wait a second and then it'll come up. But sometimes if you're not quick enough, I find it disappears and then I have to
Oh,
do it.
really? Wow.
Yeah.
okay, I'll try anything at this point because it just seems like constantly being asked to do that.
What
Yeah.
is the source of your QR codes?
As it happens, yesterday I was looking at a post from macmost.com on QR codes and what they do and when they're safe to use and maybe when they're not. I just put it in the chat. I put the link to that MacMost posting on the chat.
Good.
Thank you, John.
Nancy, what are the source of your QR codes?
Mostly, okay, like I'm trying to buy something. And of course, remember I'm in the UK. And I've never shopped on this site before. And so they're going through the process of making sure I'm a real person, etc. So usually that's where it's coming up. And so then I get stalled and I can't go forward with it.
So are you seeing the QR code on your screen or on a magazine?
On my screen, on my computer screen.
No, I don't think you know what you mean.
There has to be a way to feedback.
Go tell your father. I think he'd like to hear it.
You could try it the other way around. You could pull up the QR code on your phone and put it up to the camera on your computer and do it with the opposite device. If
I'll try that. I'll try anything at this point. I just thought maybe I was doing something dumb and didn't know it.
Well,
Use the QR code scanner that's in the control center. That's a separate app.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, like it takes you to Safari, but the URL stays in the QR code scanner. So if you want to save it, you have to get back to that.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. I didn't realize that was there.
Yeah, it's called me.
and by the way, I'd like to go back when Nancy said, do we still have time for me to ask a question for help? I like to think our entire meetings are for helping people understand things. So
For sure.
I would say almost any time questions are good. So speaking of which, we're past 7. So should we get the show on the road?
Giddy up.
Good to me.
Okay. So as I mentioned before you all got on, I want to give both organizations a chance to introduce and make any announcements. So we'll start with GAMuG. Ron, you want to do your little thing real quick?
Yeah. My name's Ron Miller. I'm the secretary. John is here somewhere. There he is.
Yep.
John Connor, he's our president. Glenn, who's been speaking, is our second vice president. Steve Maynard is there. He's our first vice president. And that's it for our people that are here right now. Let's see. Only announcement I have is September. We anticipate, I think it's the Monday or Tuesday of that first week of September, is they'll announce the new iPhones.
Yeah, the rumor is that Monday the 8th is going to be the Apple keynote. So we'll see if that comes true or not the day before the meeting.
Right.
Are they introducing hardware and software?
Should just be hardware because the software they've already announced. Usually they announce, the iPhone and some other hardware, and then like they'll tell you when, you'll be able to get, a lot of times it's later that week or, last year.
Yeah, usually it's that Friday or the next
software
Friday.
updates together at one time, but in the past they had staggered the releases. It wasn't all like, but last year was iOS, Mac OS, iPad OS were all the same day of that week, and usually it's later that week.
But since they're switching to 26, I kind of thought they'd do that closer to the end of the year.
They're just using that numbering because for the most of the time that we're on that current system, it will be 2026, but they definitely want to release the stuff well before the holidays so people can, buy that stuff as gifts and everything.
Metal parts, where do you get it to right?
It's kind of like the car numbering system.
Yeah, very much so. All right, GAMuG, you guys want any introductions or announcements you want to make?
Yeah. We're tentatively planning our annual GAMuG picnic, indoors again this time for the Saturday, the 6th of September. And we're going to have it, I think we're planning on having it at Casa Chapala again. And like we did last year. And probably be trying to get some invitations out. With RSVPs so we can tell the restaurant how many people to expect. But I say we're tentatively planning it for the afternoon of September the 6th. And Nancy, would you be willing to send us some trivia?
Yes, I'd love to.
I would love it.
Can I make it all about Scotland? No, I'll be delighted to. Thanks for asking.
Jim, I haven't confirmed that date with Casa Chapala yet, but I will tomorrow.
Maybe we could. But I just looked on the on the calendar, and actually we had talked about the 7th, but the 7th is Sunday.
Right, so it's 6th this year.
6th. But maybe we can talk offline and you'll get in touch with them or whatever we need to do.
Right. Yeah, we'll have a committee meeting.
Yeah. But and I don't think we've got a September program planned for the September general meeting. But we will have coffee, the coffee for the GAMuG on the last Thursday in August, which would be the 28th, which I think I did put in the meeting announcement. Let's see, Nathan, do you have anything about anything for an upcoming meeting?
Not yet.
Okay. I think that's about all that I have.
I've got
Tom
one.
Weaver has something.
Oh, I was just going to remind folks that I have sent out dues announcements and a bunch of people have paid their dues. If you don't get an announcement from me, don't pay don't pay dues. Just pay when if you get an announcement from me. I'll be sending a second announcement out soon. Dues are due by the end of this month.
I have one. I'm going to be teaching and starting up teaching iPhone classes for seniors this month at the local library here in Glasgow. And under the auspices of the London Mac Users Group, because they're trying to reach out to make themselves more available, in place. And I'm specifically doing this for seniors because there's a lot of them here. And I'm only mentioning this because if anybody has anything suggestions for door prizes, a lot of times when I do this, I'll just buy door prizes myself, but that's not convenient for me right now. So if anybody has anything that I don't want you to have to try to mail anything to Scotland, it costs a fortune. But any suggestions or anything that can be done online, I would gladly accept them.
The London Mac User Group has provided a door prize of a nice book and also a membership in the London Mac User Group.
That's right for this one. Thank you, Tom. I should have mentioned that. I'm hoping to do this once a month.
Okay. Anybody else before we continue on? All right. So we've got a number of littler things tonight. I'm going to be presenting. I've got my monthly goodies I do. I'm also going to do a little thing later on some AI things. Nathan's got some apps. And Nathan, remind me who else is presenting something here tonight?
Nancy.
Nancy.
The
water bubbles.
So I hopefully will.
Can we mute everybody, please?
Yeah, if you guys aren't muted, if you guys are okay. All right, so I'm going to
push that thing.
David, please mute yourself.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and lead us off then tonight with my goodies. So I'm going to share this with you guys. And can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, great. All right, so I thought I would give you guys a picture of what my yard has looked like lately. Not quite that bad, but man, it seems like it's browner and browner all the time, no matter how much I water. So I thought I just caught this little news blurb the other day and thought it was kind of interesting that Apple just surpassed the 3 billion iPhones sold since 2007. And on the third fiscal quarter earnings call, Tim Cook mentioned this. And so what's interesting is that their pace of selling is actually sped up. And you can see here, it took 4 years to go from 2 to 3 billion phones because they hit 2 billion in September of 21. And it took a little longer from July of 16 to September of 21 to go from 1 to 2 billion. And then obviously it took from 2007 to 2016 to reach that first billion. So the growth is actually accelerating in units, which is kind of interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that. All right. Got a little Apple Law and Order report here. I kept seeing stories about law and order and criminal stuff, so I thought, okay, let's do a few of these. So our first one, and this is not something you see very often. I don't know how many of you are familiar with John Prosser. He's a pretty well-known Apple leaker. And so Apple has sued him and an associate of his, Michael Ramicati, And as I have here in that first bullet point, it says Apple alleged they concocted a scheme to break into an Apple development iPhone, steal Apple's trade secrets, and profit from the theft. Processor published renders of iOS 26's rumored Vision OS with the glassy redesign months before WWDC 25, and it proved to be pretty darn accurate about what's coming. And so Apple, in the lawsuit they filed, they accused both men of misappropriation of trade secrets through a coordinated scheme that harmed Apple and its employees who work in secret for years on new features. Apple's investigation was triggered by an anonymous email tip they received in early April, which alleged that processors, they were then calling it iOS 19 leaks, came from Apple software engineer Ethan Lipnick. So I just thought this was interesting because there are a lot of leakers of Apple stuff out there. And generally speaking, the people that share stuff, you don't really hear Apple going after them. Typically, the only people that Apple have gone after that I've seen is if they actually somehow get a device or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The second one actually took place down in Texas, in Dallas. So the guy who was doing security for Apple at 3 of their stores was securing merchandise. And so Dallas Police Senior Corporal Show, I don't know how you pronounce that, he worked overnight security at 3 Dallas Apple stores, the North Park Center, Knox Street, and Galleria Dallas locations. And so he faces theft charges of between $30,000 and $150,000. And what raised Apple's suspicions was that when all 3 stores made the company top 10 list for retail locations experiencing high inventory count variances. So I guess this guy didn't really consider that when he was taking stuff out of these stores, that, you know, maybe he shouldn't do too much in a short period of time. And the surveillance footage caught him concealing approximately 25 pieces of merchandise on one occasion, including hiding Apple products underneath his Dallas police raid jacket. And the security cameras also recorded him using a trash picker to grab a box of AirPod Pros from a top shelf and bringing backpacks and duffel bags into the stores during his shift. Yeah. And then he, not so brightly, went on Facebook Marketplace to sell the stolen merchandise, and it was estimated at $37,806. And the third and final part of my Law and Order segment here is that Apple is trying to stop the sales of a very, very tiny Mac. And so Apple Insider had a story reporting about this tiny Mac that Apple doesn't want for sale. And so they have ordered the developer, Nick Gillard, the developer of a tiny original Mac replica called the Pico Mac Nano, to stop selling them, although they'll remain available for a limited time. The replica measures just 2.41 inches tall, making it actually shorter than the floppy disk using the original Macintosh that it's modeled after. Gillard took the Raspberry Pi Pico and built it into a replica of the original Macintosh. It really looks great, and I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. And it starts up with a complete Macintosh system. So it actually runs. It's not very useful. I mean, it just runs the system, and you can actually plug a USB-C mouse into it, but you can't do a whole lot of it. And Gillard offers a standard and collector's edition version on his website. And the latter even has the packaging that Apple used back in that era. You actually can order both of them still from Gillard's site, but he confirmed that Apple's lawyers have contacted him about stopping sales. And, you know, and I'll show you what this looks like in a minute. And Gillard says, in fairness to Apple, not only are they perfectly within their rights to issue a cease and desist, and I'm surprised it didn't come sooner given the collector's edition box, but they've been super nice and polite about the project, he wrote, saying things like, it's clear you poured a great deal of care and passion into your work. We generally appreciate your enthusiasm for and admiration of the original Macintosh. So Apple is only requesting that the assembled units stop being sold, not that the entire open source project be removed from GitHub. So it actually shows people how to build their own. So you can go out there and find that. So so far he's shipped almost 400 units, and he takes about 40 orders a day. And the Pico Mac Nano sells for 58 pounds, around $78. And the collector's edition is 79.5 pounds, or about $107. And here is the little thing that they ran, so you can see what it looks like.
Hi, it's just a little video to show that the Pico Mac Nano is actually
I have
real.
one of those.
This is the first finished prototype that I made. This is the item that's in all the photos that I took of it. It is fully functional. I'm just going to turn it on there. You can see the lights on the side. Wait for it to adjust, and you can see, there you go, that is booted up into macOS 3. It's got the USB-C port on the back that you can use with a splitter to power it and operate a USB mouse or keyboard from it. The micro SD card, I've got the optional battery unit in here at the moment, which is why I can run it without connecting to the mains. Got the cute little Torx bolts in there.
So anyway, that's a pretty good model. I think you guys, I don't know what you guys think, but that's pretty cool, actually. I don't know that I would spend the money to buy one, but it's pretty cool.
They talked about this on Mac Break Weekly. Jason Snell bought one.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Was he able to actually get it to do anything? I heard it doesn't, other than turn on, you can't really do anything.
Yeah, he got it to like run the system settings or something. But he
okay. All right.
Yeah, he got his to it turns on just like that and everything. So
yeah, it's pretty good work. I mean, this guy obviously put a lot of work into this. So.
I think he got the collector's edition with the box. And
okay. All right. So I love this one. So the iOS 26 message filtering is really raising a stir and bothering politicians. And if it's bothering politicians, I think we probably will all like this. So in iOS 26, the Messages app will automatically sort unknown text into its own category. And while text message filtering has existed on the phone for a while, it's getting much more intuitive and much better than what it used to be. And so basically numbers that they're treated as unknown if the user has never interacted with the number or it's not in your contacts. And so, like I said, it's going to put this into its own kind of category. Now, this isn't activated by default from what I hear, that you have to go into settings, to apps, to messages, to screen unknown senders to get it to do this. And so this is really making political fundraising groups unhappy, because, they rely on donations that come from spam texts. What I didn't realize is that Business Insider estimates this could cost the major parties over $1 billion in campaign contributions. And it's also estimated that 70% of small dollar donations come from text messages in the US. So I don't know about you guys, but I say this is a win for us. Because, campaign season comes around and you start getting all these, political spam texts coming in. So I'll be happy if I don't have to see those.
I have to reply stop every time.
Yeah. All right. So the other thing, I know we've talked about this in our group. I don't know if you guys at CapMac have, but we've talked about what's going to happen with the Apple credit card. And so it looks like 9 to 5 Max reporting that Apple is nearing a deal with JP Morgan Chase to take over the card that, currently is done by Goldman Sachs. The Wall Street Journal was reporting on this last week. And Goldman Sachs wants to get out of it because evidently they're taking a lot of losses from this. And while the talks have accelerated, there's no it's not a done deal yet. We don't know exactly when it'll happen. It's just rumored that this is the most likely thing. While Goldman Sachs contract runs with Apple till 2030 on the card, Evidently, they've said that they would be willing to, walk away from this to get out of it. And so I thought this was interesting is that, the Apple Card could undergo some big changes if it switches over to Chase. The questions about whether the current terms of the Apple Card are financially viable, because benefits include no fees other than interest up to 3% cash back, except for, special deals, and 0% financing on Apple purchases. So that stuff could get modified in a new deal. The other thing is Chase doesn't currently offer any high yield savings accounts. So the question is, will they take that on as well? Or is it possible the savings account could still stay with Goldman Sachs? So that again is kind of up in the air. Evidently, Apple has held conversations also with Synchrony, American Express, and Capital One, but evidently JP Morgan Chase seems to be the front runner on this.
Capital One just took over Discover.
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
Glenn, have you seen anything about whether the new card from JP Morgan Chase might still be a MasterCard, or might it become a Visa?
I haven't heard anything about that. And I think until, right now it's all just rumor and, subjective thought, until they actually sign a deal of some kind. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I know that I use my Apple Card quite a bit, so I'll be very interested to see what happens. All right. Here's a little iPhone security tip that you may like, you may not. I have tried this and I found that while yes, it offers better security, I found it a little too annoying and went back and turned it off. So if you long press and hold the messages and mail apps on your phone, you'll get a small little contextual menu like this will pop up, and you can press require Face ID. And so it's recommended you do this for any critical system apps, and it'll force your phone to authenticate your face, even if you have the device unlocked already. And so, like, the idea behind this is if you're standing there, on the street corner or something, because you hear stories every now and then of somebody coming by and grabbing somebody's phone, that, it still is going to require Face ID for critical stuff. And so what I didn't like, I turned this on just to try it, but what I didn't like is, I noticed like one day I was out mowing the lawn and I was getting a text message. Well, I couldn't just say, have it read it to me or tell my phone to read it to me, because I had to stop mowing, take the phone out of my pocket, and let the Face authenticate to do it. And I thought, well, that's kind of a pain. If I'm in the middle of doing something else, I don't want to have to do that. And you can't just tell the S lady to read your messages. So, like I said, it's going to prevent prying eyes or a thief taking control of your phone, but there is a limitation on that as well. So give it a try, see if you like it. Like I said, I personally found it annoying because when I'm doing stuff like cutting the lawn or working out, or I've got my hands busy doing something, I don't want to have to stop what I'm doing to pull my phone out of my pocket and, authenticate like that. All right, AirPod noises. So there is a website out there called airpodnoises.net, and they will tell you what all your little noises in your AirPod do. Because there are a lot of little noises, and sometimes I'm not sure. I'm like, what did that noise mean? So, and you can see if you go to the site, you can literally play all these noises. If you guys like, I can share this with you so you can hear it, or you can do it on your own. Would you like me to share it?
Just
Anyone?
one or two of them, maybe.
Okay. Let me see if I can get to that. Okay, here we go. So you probably have heard the device connected one before. Can you guys hear that when I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. But there are some things like I don't know, let's see. Well, this one I hear occasionally, the case battery low. But that kind of is a little bit like Find My AirPods. The Find My AirPods one kind of goes up and down in tone and pitch more. You know, some of these like low battery, so it's kind of sounds like it's just dying out there. So anyway, if you are ever wondering, well, what are these sounds I'm hearing on my AirPod? You know, just go to, you know, airpodnoises.net and you can, you know, see what, you know, these noises are. So they put together this little website, and I thought, well, that's useful just as a resource to check out. All right. I don't know how many of you have heard about the new Apple Care One that has come out. And it's a big thing, something very different. For those of you who are Apple Care people, I wanted to share this with you. So Apple announced their new Apple Care One, and it's essentially going to take the place of the old Apple Care that we have all used. So what it is it's a new plan that will cover up to 3 Apple devices, and this will cost $19.99 per month. So you buy it, it's not just for one device. It's not, oh, it's just my Mac. It's, you know, I can put my phone and my Mac and my iPad on the plan. And then if you want to add additional devices, each additional device you add to it adds $5.99 to the cost per month. And so the Apple Care One is going to provide the same coverage as the Apple Care Plus that has been in place, you know, like unlimited repairs for accidents, you know, 24/7 support, certified service, battery coverage, all that. But it also is going to expand theft and loss protection beyond just the iPhone to also cover the iPad and the Apple Watch. And the deductibles for repairs or replacements are going to be the same as they were. That's not changing the cost of that. Also, when you trade in a covered device to Apple, so if you've got an Apple device that's already covered under Apple Care Plus, they will automatically transfer the coverage from that old device to the new one. By the way, you can also manually do that in your settings as well. You can add most Apple devices to this plan that are up to 4 years old. So that's a little different. But the one thing is they have to be able to qualify for an Apple Care Plus plan currently. So if they don't qualify now, then you can't add them. But some of these things that are a little older, you might be able to add. I haven't tried doing any of this, so I can't vouch for it yet. The only thing that you have to do within 1 year of the purchase is AirPods and Beats headphones. Those have to be within 1 year of the purchase. Also, you can't add accessories separately, but the Apple branded accessories that you would use with your iPad, like your Apple keyboard and Apple Pencil, are supposedly included with your iPad coverage. So, you know, probably not that hard to lose an Apple Pencil or something like that. So that'd be good to know that that's covered. So I was also trying to figure that I read some different things about it. It says Apple Care One covers devices linked to the same Apple account as the subscriber and is technically meant for individual use. But Apple in the reading I did, it doesn't say explicitly anywhere in there that excludes family members on the same family account. So that's a little bit of a gray area that it's supposedly for an individual, but the way they word it, you might be able to get that through with anything on one family account. And people are sort of out there talking about, well, is Apple Care worth it? I've seen a lot of different articles on this. Well, I guess that really depends on what device you own and use. I mean, like if you have a Vision Pro, well, yeah, because I think the cost of the Vision Pro is like, it's like, correct me if somebody knows I'm wrong, but I think I heard it was like $24 or something like that, you know, a month to cover that. So, so that's kind of up to you. It just depends on what you have, whether it's worth it or not.
One very quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know whether I, for example, have separate Apple Care coverage on my laptop, on my iPad, and my phone? And I'm pretty sure that what I'm paying for those exceeds the $19.95. I'd have to check and see. Is it possible to combine three existing separate coverages into that one Apple One.
Here's my understanding, and I could be wrong. So if somebody's heard differently, chime in. I believe those all just get brought into that new Apple Care coverage. So if this is going to be paying less for you, then it might be worth it. But that's my understanding. I can't verify that 100%.
So does that mean then that if you're under an Apple Plus package, it's just going to be automatically changed over to the new Apple Care name?
Again, that's as I understand it, but
No, it's not. It's not.
well,
It's optional.
okay, it's not, Dwight. Okay, because I was going to say your cost isn't going to change. When I say as I understand it is I was referring to John's question a minute ago.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of devices and bring it in, but Dwight, you might have different information, have heard different information than I have. Dwight, you're muted.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
I said maybe you've heard different information than what I have. What have you heard about it?
Well, no, it's optional. You can continue with Apple Care Plus indefinitely, or you can switch over to Apple Care One and take three of those plans and three of your Apple Care Plus plans and combine them into the Apple Care One plan.
Okay.
And
So
then you get a refund for whatever's left on your Apple Care Plus subscription.
okay. So John,
I'd
comment
be,
might be something that works well for you.
I'd be leery about changing from Plus to One because at this point my MacBook Pro is 5 years old, but it's still covered by Apple Care Plus. And they told me that as long as I continued paying the premium, that I could continue to be covered. But I don't know what they would do with the One, especially at a lower cost.
One of the things that I mentioned in there is that devices have to be less than 4 years old to be eligible for Apple Care One.
So that means I better just stay away from it and live with Plus.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving on then. How to rename email flags in Apple Mail on the Mac. So I don't know how many Apple Mail users we have here, but if you use Apple Mail, you're probably familiar with, the ability to flag separate messages to tag them for importance. By default, Apple just names them the color of the flag they are. And you can see in the little graphic there, the red flag is red, the orange is orange. And so, you just flag them whatever color. But you may or may not know that you can actually rename the flags to whatever you'd like. And so this way your categories aren't just colors, they actually have some meaning to you. And so you can see like this is the little screenshot there of what I've renamed things that I use flags for. So you can do that. And it's pretty simple to do, really. Just to get started, click on any message in mail. So you click on that, and then all you're going to do is you've got that, you go up to the flag, you see the little drop down, menu there, and you just flag it, flag one of those colors. And once it's flagged, that now will appear in your left-hand sidebar of mail. You'll have a flag section. It may be closed. You may need to hit the little chevron to open it up, and it'll show you what stuff is flagged under what colors. And so if you already have stuff flagged in mail, by the way, you don't need to open up one message and do that, okay, that I just showed you up there. Just go over to your flagged emails. But if you don't have any flagged, then you first need to flag an email to do this. Then there's two ways to rename from the color. You can either control click on that color flag and on the contextual menu, go to rename mailbox and rename the color, or the easier way is you can simply just click on, that color name and just type away whatever you want to call it. And so, by doing this, like I said, instead of just saying, well, I've got a red flag, and of course that's going to make me look at something because I've got a flag that must be important. But now at least I have a better meaning of, well, what is that importance? So as you can see, like some things are just business things I've flagged, or maybe the red flags I use are for deadlines. Yeah, if something's coming up, I got to take care of this. The upcoming things I might need to do are not as urgent for me as the deadline. They're just everyday things I need to take care of. So and so in order to change the names, you're going to have to add flags of each color to emails to then change them. Unfortunately, there's not just a settings panel in Mail, which you would think would be intuitive to do. You could go in and just set that, but there's no one setting. So you've got to add a flag of each color to then be able to change that name. Does that make sense, everyone?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I mentioned earlier we're talking about rain. Well, I actually used Apple Intelligence to do something, and I thought I'd share this with you guys and how I use this in notes. So during the month of July, it seemed every time that it rained in the St. Louis area, the rain would miss the area that I live in. I live in a suburb by the name of Baldwin here in St. Louis, Ballwin. Well, I'd look at the radar, it's coming toward us, and then either it would dissipate before it got to the area, or it would like go around me north or south. And it was so frustrating because, like I was saying, as the month went on, my nice lush green lawn started to, as I say here, it started to turn into the Sahel, which, if you don't know what that is, that's the edges of the Sahara Desert, just browning out and burning out and everything. And so I just kept thinking, man, it just seems like we're getting so much less rain than everyone else around here. And it's weird. So when July ended, I thought I would test just my theory that we were getting less rain. And I kind of got motivated, and I made a list. I looked up 22 different municipalities in the St. Louis area that covered the whole area just out of curiosity. And people that know me know I'm kind of an amateur meteorologist into weather stuff. So interesting to me. And so here in Baldwin, we got 3.93 inches of rain, which is really not bad. It's just shy of our July average, which is 3.95 inches. So for Baldwin, it was a typical hot and dry July. Well, I compiled a list. I just was looking all these municipalities up in Apple Notes. And so I thought, well, I'd like to sort this, from highest rainfall to lowest. And so I made just a little video showing you how I did this using Apple Intelligence. So there was my list that I just done in notes. And this was the just the rainfall there. You can see I just listed the municipality, and I looked them up by zip code and what the rain was, and I kind of compared it to the average. And so here's how I put Apple AI to use to sort it for me. So I just highlighted the list of names, the list of municipalities there. And then when I highlighted it, the little Apple AI icon came up. And if you click on that, you can tell it what you want it to do. So in here, I typed and I said, sort by inches of rain from the highest to the lowest. And as you can see here, I hit return. It thought for a few seconds here. And bam, there you go. And real nice and easy, something to do. So I use Apple Notes a ton, and I make a lot of lists in there. And so if you're an Apple Notes user, you can put it to use for things like this. One of the things that also impressed me about doing that is, you notice I had two different amounts for each municipality. One was how much rain did they get during the month of July, and the other one was what is their average. And so it was intuitive enough to understand that I wanted it to sort by that first number and not where it said the average. So I thought that was interesting that it understood me telling it that. I didn't have to do further explanation. So that was just an example I thought I would share with you of how you can use Apple Intelligence with your notes. Oops. Oh. All right, a couple products I want to share with you that I came across real quick. This first one is called the AirFly Pro 2. And so this is great if you're flying. It's a product that allows you to use your wireless headphones on a flight so that you can get better sound if you're watching a video or if you want noise canceling. and it's made by a company called 12 South. It's a pretty well-known company that make a lot of great products, and it costs $59.99. And so you can see here it comes in 3 colors: blue, white, and black. You've got your typical little headphone jack there. You plug it in, and then it syncs with your Bluetooth headphones. And this thing gets 25 plus hours, they say, of battery life, and it's rechargeable via USB-C. And you can also get a deluxe edition of this. The deluxe edition actually gives you a little travel pouch and an international adapter there as well. And so, I haven't been flying recently, but it's something that I will consider getting when I do fly, because it's a cool little device, and you can just see it. They have their little product thing here. I'll show you. You can see how
we've flown hundreds of long haul flights, and this is my #1 travel essential to make any flight a better experience. Trying to watch a movie on a plane with the airline wired headphones with audio quality cutting in and out is a killer, and noise cancellation on flights is key. This is the new AirFly Pro 2 from 12 South. It lets you connect your Bluetooth headphones wirelessly to the in-flight entertainment. You can use the physical volume controls for ease. There's dedicated pairing buttons to make setup effortless, and with 25 plus hours of battery life, you get smooth, high quality sound the whole time.
And the other thing is about this product, it's not just something you got to use for travel. You can use it as a transmitter receiver for everyday use when not flying. So, you can do streaming things. You can see how it's being used in a car here or wherever you want to use it. So it's not like you just have to use it on a plane. So I thought that was a pretty cool device, something I might look into at some point. The other device I was going to share with you is called the Music Cozy. And so these Music Cozy are makers of what they call sleep headphones. And they're headbands and sleep masks that contain Bluetooth speakers in them that will play content from any of your devices. And that sure is a heck lot more comfortable and safer, healthier for you than if you're falling asleep with headphones in your ears. They also do make headbands for workouts. So you've just got that in there. And the rechargeable battery supposedly offers, as they say, 14 to 15 hours of continuous play on a 1 to 2 hour charge. And if you look on their website, these things, they have all kinds of colors and designs. They run between like $15 and $35. So if you're somebody that likes to, sleep with music on or whatever, obviously I've never tried this before, so I don't know what the ambient sound outside of them is. So that is the one thing I can't answer, but it looked like an interesting product. And finally, some of you will remember this.
Ron.
Welcome. You've got mail.
I don't know.
You've got pictures. File's done. Goodbye.
I don't know about the rest of you, but just hearing that sound is like very nostalgic, even though it was a pain in the butt.
Right.
Well, the reason I bring this up, some of you might have seen this in the news. Stop that. The age of dial-up internet is actually coming to an end. And this really isn't a joke. This has been in the news the last couple of days. I was blown away when I found out that AOL actually still offers dial-up internet service. I'm like, I don't know what about you guys, but I don't think I've used dial-up service in 25 years or something. And so I was blown away when they're saying it's coming to an end on September 30th. I'm like, this is still a thing? Holy cow. But I saw that there's a stat in 2019, it was estimated there were still 265,000 Americans using dial-up service. So Anyway, but so that is all coming to an end on the 30th. So if you are a dial-up user, you're going to have to get wired in a different way. Sorry.
I think
All
I
right.
a box of
Hey, Glenn, do they still have us overseas?
yeah, Mike.
Hold on, I got multiple people talking. Hold on, one at a time.
So I think I still have a box of modems from the CapMac BBS.
Oh yeah. I was never an AOL user, but I mean, I still use the modem and all that sound. Dave, what did you say?
I was asking, I wonder, do you think you have dial-up service and G2 and G3 service I'd say Argentina or Bolivia or something like that? I bet they do.
Maybe. I mean, I guess if you're in a remote area and you can't get wired somewhere, but I don't know about you guys. Show of hands, how many of you didn't even realize that existed anymore?
I didn't.
I'm like, I heard this news story and I'm like, what? You mean there's still such a thing as dial-up internet? I was like, holy cow, I didn't know that existed anymore. So I haven't thought about that. And by the way, you know, play this for young people and see if they can identify that sound.
But I think there's also something called AutoPen that was used in a medical. The doctors would sign the document at the ER, and it would go right to your pharmacy.
Oh yeah, it's funny when you think about where we've come from. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were sitting there, waiting on that, got to connect me, connect me, connect me. So,
There's still some farms and stuff that are very rural that
oh
are
yeah,
nowhere near towers or cables or anything else.
oh yeah, I'm sure of it, Tom. That they still in those areas struggle, and those were probably the people that were still using the dial-up because they couldn't get anything else. It's just and you know what? Shame on me for complaining about my 1 gigabit fiber optic service, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So anyway, I'm going to turn things over to Nathan to share some stuff for us.
I'm going to put an article about this in the chat. Someone wrote a whole deep dive on the whole AOL thing. And I think instead, since it's almost 2 a.m. where she is, I'll have Nancy go next.
That's so kind of you. Okay, I'm going to do a real quick review, but I've got to explain why, because otherwise y'all are going to think that I'm losing my mind. Wait a minute, I got to get this down. I'm trying to pull up my slideshow here. I could get it a while ago. Glenn, it's all your fault. I didn't have full screen. Now I do. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let me share this first, and then I'll give you the explanation. So I hit share.
Not sharing.
I honestly meant.
Are you trying to share it?
That's not. I'm trying to share. Yeah, a slideshow.
Is it not
If
letting
I
you?
can't share this, it's not going to make any sense. Oh, wait a minute, because I'm not.
Nancy, is it already on
I
your?
really intended to call. Huh?
Is it already on your
Do
desktop
what?
that you want to share?
Yeah, it's on my desktop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say something?
I thought I just I
Earbuds.
thought I just had to share.
Well, when you click
No,
the share
I
button, look
thought
for
I
that
just had to
window.
click the share button, but
Yeah, and when you click the share button, it'll show you the
I'm
different
sorry.
things on your desktop. Just pick the one you want.
Okay, I see. So maybe I see. Shoot. Oh, okay. Yes. No.
So
I
when you
meant to call Tom or Craig or somebody at that time to get me to do this right and not waste y'all's time.
Okay, well, just take
Um,
a deep breath there, no problem. When you hit the share button, you should get a window comes up, and then you can either choose the entire screen or different application windows that are currently on your desktop. Do you see that? Are you seeing a window
yeah,
pop
I
up?
did see that, and I clicked on. It says Keynote on, which is I clicked on that.
So click on that, and then I
And
always go to the options and I share sound and optimize for video. You see on the right side there that just,
okay. Oh yeah, yep, I see that. Okay. And
and
then
then
do I
go down
click
and
share
hit,
again?
and then click the share button right below that. Yeah.
The blue one?
Yep.
Okay.
And nothing's happening, huh?
Nothing's happening.
I wish I could jump in there and help you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was going to ask for help ahead of time. Okay, let me just explain this and for people who might benefit from it. Last month, my oldest great grandchild got married. Now, that's like, okay, big deal. Well, here's the deal. I'm a twin, but and my sister passed away just a few short years ago. Not only my children and two of my grandchildren ever met my twin, and the rest of my family, my great grandchildren, and any future generations probably don't even know I'm a twin. So that's part of me that's completely unknown to them. And I don't like that. I don't like that there's a whole part of my family that the people that I love the most don't know anything about. Part of this is because even though my parents both had a number of brothers and sisters, they're all back in Georgia. We moved to Texas just my parents and us. And my sister and her family settled down in the Houston area, and we settled in the north. So it just, y'all know how it is when you have brothers and sisters, you don't always get to keep close contact with them. She and I did, but the extended family did not. And I was really struggling with how to deal with this. And I got a really good idea from Janie, because Janie does memory books every year for her family. And I decided that what I was going to do about it was put together a memory book that showed all these pictures, these adorable little twins who don't look anything alike. And to present to the important family to me that I want to have this information to carry forward. It's kind of like being into genealogy, but it's not, because it's a lot more personal. So anyhow, I'm just laying that out there in case this is important. This kind of thing is important to anybody else. So although I have a bunch of pictures of us as children, the only decent picture I have of myself as an old person, it was taken by Terry Weaver. She's a great photographer. And I'm actually smiling, which is, So I wanted this picture to look the best it could look, because for obvious reasons. I mean, some of them think that all I am is somebody that brings cookies at Christmas time. So I wanted this picture to be good. And I went and I started researching apps that are out there because I knew that there were apps now that would make pictures look as well as they could. And I tried out 2 or 3 of them. And the one that I found that I wanted to recommend is called Lensa, Lensa. I like it for a couple of reasons. One, if you only want to do something like this, maybe once in your life, then they have a 7-day trial period, and it's perfectly free. And you can take you can do as many as 3 images a day. So if it's like a one-time thing, then that's going to do it for you. If you are going to make a big deal out of this, like I'm sure some people in the public do. I'm sorry, just a minute. It's an annual subscription, so it's $29.99 a year, or you can pay for it by the month. It also allows you to make magic avatars, and that's an additional cost as well. And for people who are into that kind of thing, I would suspect that it probably would be worthwhile. I just like the fact that I could do what I needed to do one time, and I don't think using a trial of a application is cheating. I mean, they make it available to you, and there it is. So what I'm going to do is, since I can't show you this, I'm going to take a screenshot of these 2 side-by-side pictures, one of them that has not been edited and the other one that I edited. And where it is edited, it shows you the changes that I made in the edited picture. This takes seconds. It takes seconds. And all of a sudden, I have a picture that I would prefer that my family have in their minds. So, call me, I don't know, call me whatever you want to. I just wanted to have one picture in there that showed them the smiling great grandma. So that's my whole reference. I just wanted people to know that it's out there, that it's excessively easy to use, and it does what it says it's going to do.
Nancy, I'm going to share a screen, the website for the app here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you can describe it. I will scroll down here if you want to talk about this as I scroll here.
Well, as you can see in this first top picture, literally, once you tell it what you want to do, the screen just moves across the picture and makes all these changes that you told it to do. Anything from making your teeth whiter to, taking out brown spots or whatever. I'm going to just copy this picture that shows the 2 side by side. And again, I'm only mentioning this. I mean, we're not all out there, trying to be influencers or always be more important than we think we are. But I'm very happy with the fact that I was able to take this one wonderful picture that Terry took and make myself look as good as I could. I mean, I'm going to be 85 next month. I'm taking advantage of everything I can. So, here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to desk these and put it in chat. Does anybody have any questions? Now that I stumbled around.
Nancy,
Sorry.
I have a question. If you're using the various tools offered by the program, does it keep track for you of what tools you have used, when and where, like in layers and that kind of thing?
If it does, it doesn't tell you that. I think if somebody is that into working with layers and knowing what they're doing, this might be too easy for them. I mean, there are more sophisticated apps out there.
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of, dumping it in the trash can, starting all over and knowing what tools you used so you could decide whether or not to,
Okay.
continue.
Okay, let me put this picture in shared, and you'll I'm sorry. I thought I had this all together. Just a second.
In the chat, I think. Right?
Oh, yes, thank you, honey. Okay. Okay. Now, if you look at these two pictures, if you pull them up, you can see the one on the right tells you exactly the things that I changed and what percentage of a change that I made.
Yeah, if you guys all click from the chat, you'll see what she's talking about. Open that picture.
It doesn't take the gray out, but
But it blurred the Coca-Cola label.
it blurred it. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm smiling, because I'm sitting in front of a Coke. But for what was important to me, this was so easy to use, and I just think if you know about it and something comes up, and you may come across a really old picture of grandparents or great grandparents, and the quality of the picture is not what you would like to be, you can try improving it just by using something like this.
Question, please.
Yes.
Is it a one-time cost or does it require?
It's an annual subscription.
I'm sorry.
It's an annual subscription.
See it.
$29.99 a year.
Well, because it blurs the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
And if you want to learn how to make the avatars, and I didn't even try to make avatars. I wasn't even remotely interested in that. But there's a charge for some additional charge if you want to learn how to do that.
My screen's too small for me to scroll down. I can't get to her. But you put in the chat.
Great photo.
Yeah, Terry's a great photographer.
Yeah, she just came up and looked at what you had done on my screen.
Oh, did she? Was she okay with it?
Yeah. Her screen is too small.
Yeah.
If you go to chat, you can also just double click her image and it'll come up.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted this book has become very important to me. I want my sister to be part of my children's lives, at least to know who and what she was and what our childhood was like. And so that's it. But it is really easy to use.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. All right, Nathan.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is I got one of these Amazon Blink security cameras, but not for the reason you might think. I got it for watching birds. You may have heard of the Bird Buddy, or some of these knockoffs that have a camera built into a bird feeder where you can watch birds with. So I decided to kind of do this on my own with some third-party equipment. So I'm going to be talking about that. Let me share. Oh, here's Nancy's picture. All right, and if you no. All right, so here is the Blink outdoor cam on Amazon, $79.99. It just has the this is the camera itself, and then it has like a Wi-Fi thing that you plug inside the house. And I also bought some third-party solar panels so that I don't ever have to change the battery. So this is what it looks like. I have here's the little camera and the solar panel, and then it's pointed right at the bird feeder. And once you got all that in, then you have an app on your phone, and you can just, for a while I was getting notifications. It became too much, so I just turned all those off, and I just look whenever I feel like it. And there's like maybe 100 videos to go through. So let me show you the app. To Do you see my iPhone screen?
Yep.
All right, so we'll go to Blink. And so you have your home. So this is the live view right now. Nothing going on right now. But then every time it senses movement, it shoots about a 20-second video.
It's cool.
So then, like, here's another one. And you can put the phone landscape to make it full screen. And then whenever I find one that I like, I can click on this little paper airplane symbol and just save the video to my photo library. All of them have sound as well. So I wanted to share some of my favorites. On this one, I think someone's cockatoo got out because I had a visitor one morning. This is the only time he ever appeared. Then you have a woodpecker. And of course, the squirrels like to get at it. A blue jay. And as you can see, the video quality is quite good. And there's a cardinal. And there's another one that's kind of it looks like a female cardinal, but it has a really long tuft on its head. And I think we looked it up, and it's a Mexican cardinal.
What did it cost for the solar panel interface?
The solar panels, it came in a pack of 4. Let me see if I can look that up real fast. So it's a 3-pack of solar panels. It was 55.
And they had the right connectors or
And it
adaptable.
has the right connector. It's built for the Blink. But then I never have to change out the battery or worry about the battery ever.
Great.
Nathan, from what I see there, it looks like it doesn't start recording the video until it detects the motion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, what I need is something that will start recording before it detects any motion and then just keep, say, the last 5 seconds, because what I'm trying to figure out is how does the squirrel get to my bird feeder?
I think Ring services do that. Ring camera, they do the preliminary.
Okay.
You have motion detection. Let's see. It can record person detection, vehicle detection, other motion. Let's see. Motion sensitivity. Yeah, you can bring that down. I was getting way too many videos with it at like 1 or 2, and as I brought it up to about 4. You can customize the motion zones, so you can like draw around it, like anything with the that's not grayed out is what it catches. Um, and then adjust time after a motion event during which the camera will not detect motion. So that's just automatically set at 10 seconds. Then you can also do how long your motion clip is going to be. So mine is set at 15 seconds, but you can set it all the way from 5 all the way to 60, a whole minute.
Okay, and the name of this app is Blink?
Yes. BLINK.
Concerning the squirrels getting into the bird feeder, I live close enough to water. I think that there's lots and lots and lots of birds around here, and I was having the problem of the crows getting to all the bird feed, and the little tiny birds couldn't get to it. And I found a bird feeder on Amazon that has 3 slender things inside of it for different kinds of bird feed, and then it's encaged in a cage that goes around it. And so the little birds can get through the holes in the outer cage and get to the food, but the bigger birds cannot get to the food. So I like that. I like that better because the bigger birds were scared the little ones away.
Nathan, I have a brief question. How
Yes.
weatherproof have you found this thing to be? If a nasty storm blows up, do you find that you have to go and reposition the camera, or maybe the solar panels got
Well,
blown down? You have to put them back up, or what?
you can tell that it's already crooked, so I don't really care about that because I'm just using it to watch birds, and I can adjust the video and photos. But if we've had some really, really heavy storms, as the Austin people can attest. I live in San Antonio, and I didn't have to go out at all during or after any of that.
How is it attached?
I have it. So as I showed in that picture, go back to Keynote. I have it. I drilled a hole in this dead tree and drilled screws into the tree, and it's completely attached. It has kind of like a swivel, so you can swivel it around. But the way I attached it, it's gonna always kind of be a little crooked.
for the person that was trying to figure out how the squirrel was getting to their bird food, maybe if you temporarily point your camera just a little higher so the motion from the squirrel will activate it sooner, you'll be able to see how they're coming down.
But that won't stop them.
No, but you can figure out what they're doing and then you can stop them.
Then I can put up a barrier in the right place.
Yeah.
I wanted to share a picture of how I keep the squirrels out of my bird feeders.
Sure.
Let's see if I can just do that. If I can figure this out, follow directions better than. There it is. So can you see the picture of my backyard?
Yes.
Those two things on the left on holding the bird feeders are 3/4 inch pipe with a nipple on the top to screw to allow me to put a cap on the ends of a ductwork. One's a 5-inch, one's a 6-inch. I don't know what size. Squirrels do not touch that. Now you can't hang it from a tree because they'll drop down into it. But these feeders both have things. And the one on the left is a bird buddy. And I get way too many pictures. I think yours is fine. But somebody got me a bird buddy. But those tubes are just handmade. I just got screws in to hold the caps on and cut a hole in the top. And they're a little high for my wife to get the feed in the back of the bird buddy, but this one she just pours it into.
They're aluminum, right, Al?
No, they're galvanized. They're just cheap.
Oh, this
five round ductwork from the hardware store.
Yeah, this looks like vent tubing for like a hot water heater or something like that.
Well, this is just you go into Menards or Home Depot and say you want to. These are just I think they're 5-foot or 6-foot pieces. I forget which.
Yeah.
5-foot pieces.
Yeah, you don't describe it as a squirrel excluder.
No, but I have a son-in-law that works at a hardware store, and he was asking people are asking him what to do about that, and he showed him these pictures, and he's had several people buy the things to make their own.
Could you also use plain old plastic pipe? Because the squirrel can't climb up that, I don't think.
I think they would get, I don't know. This is real light, and maybe you don't like the look of it, but the plain old plastic pipe is heavier than this. And you could the squirrel's claws might be able to get a hold of it. This they can't touch.
PVC pipe has enough of a surface texture that they would likely be able to climb up the thing. There's no way they're going to climb up this galvanized.
Yeah.
I've had them try to crawl in the hole at the bottom and crawl up the inside. Didn't get very far. I just thought I'd share that with you.
Well, for entertainment value, there actually is a bird feeder that when the squirrels get on it, it detects them and then it centrifuges them off.
Yeah, they're fun.
I
If I'm going to be allowed to share, I'll show you squirrel-proof bird feeders. Who's sharing right now? Oh, Alan is?
I'm going to I don't know how to unshare.
Press the red button at the top. It'll say, there should be a little red thing at the top of your screen there.
Oh, top right.
No, it's right up in the middle somewhere.
I see my camera on. I don't see it.
The big red button.
No.
Yeah.
Go up to the top of the Zoom screen.
All right. No, I'm in the Zoom. I may be out of the Zoom screen.
Alan, are you on an iPad or a computer?
No, on a computer.
Maybe you got the top of the Zoom window shoved off the top of the screen.
No,
that
I don't.
That would hide it.
There
you
go. I guess you found it.
Yeah, the button's at the top of a tube.
Okay. All right. You can show your.
I clicked Alan out of that.
Good.
Both of these feeders that I've got are spring loaded. And on this one, if there are more than 4 sparrows on it, this cage drops down. These holes that he's eating out of right now get hidden behind these things. And you'll notice these are really close together, whereas these are not.
Uh-huh.
So the whole thing just sinks down, and everybody has to wait for the sparrows to depart. Doves will trigger it instantly, so they have given up. Squirrels trigger it instantly, so they have learned not to even bother to try. And then I've got, well, I'm hidden here. I've got this version, and oh, that's the same one. Well, I've got another one that's got a cage around it and a ring that the birds can sit on that can handle 6 birds. So I had to do some figuring on the spring for this one. And I will allow 6 sparrows or 4 cardinals. No squirrels, no pigeons, no doves. And the squirrels, the only time I see a squirrel on it is after the babies come out to play. And they'll try it once and then they give up.
Yeah, I've got one of those, and the brand name is actually Squirrel Buster. But what happened was up at the top of that, there's a plastic ring inside the screen. And
Yep.
because the separation of the horizontal wires is so large, the squirrel was able to get his nose between the wires and start chewing on the plastic. And that meant that the little guide that kept the thing moving up and down would get out of sync. And so it would come down and it would stay locked down. It wouldn't go back up. So I had to go back up and fix it. I haven't got the thing repaired yet.
So did you have trouble with that ostrich that was in the picture up above?
He gets bigger food, but he leaves a bigger egg behind. So that's always nice.
They really are goofy looking.
They are, yeah. Anyway, I can't find my other one, and I'm not going to spend time.
Is that a hawk on the fence there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
We have
Yeah,
radio.
I don't think you see too many doves and stuff around when he's around.
Well, no, he sort of keeps it all clear. Now, this guy doesn't know yet that the hawk is sitting there. Okay? When he comes up, he's gone.
Wow. That's a pretty handsome bird.
Yeah, he is. We've got a great horned owl in the neighborhood too, and not storks, ibises. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, let me get out of here.
All right. Well, we seem to have taken a big detour down the bird watching stuff. So, Nathan, why don't we keep things moving?
Speaking of the nature theme, I want to show my favorite plant identification app. Apple can do this built in, but the one I really like is called Picture This. And I like it because it gives so much more information about botanical and what to do and where it grows the best and where what temperatures, and identifies problems with a plant that you might have. And so I just wanted to show you a little bit of Picture This. So this is the app here, and you just press on the camera, put the plant in focus, and take a picture. And if I go into the second tab of third tab, my plants, and snap history, these are all the plants I like to take pictures of plants I like when I'm walking. So this is one I saw on my walk, and this is oleander. It gives you other images, quick facts, It likes full sun, and it can grow between 23 and 109. It has the toxicity to humans and pets, its distribution, seasonal spotlight, what it looks like for flowering, its height, flowers, and fruits. It's easy, suitable for beginners and with less commitment. It just gives all of this information, how-tos, pruning, propagation. And so when I was on my trip to Seattle over the summer, there were just, it was the perfect weather. First of all, it was like in the 60s and 70s the whole time in July. And so I was just taking pictures of all the plants in people's gardens, and it was just stuff that would never, ever, ever grow here because it's too hot. But stuff that I have in my own garden, it can tell you what the problems are, how to have the right soil. For example, I figured out that the reason my strawberries kept dying is I had the wrong soil. I needed sandy soil. And so it's just neat to be able to take a picture and see what it is and get all this information about it.
How expensive is the app?
It's free to use unless you want all the special features like there's some like AI stuff, of course, because that's the big trend right now, and there's some other features. The pro version is like it's a subscription as well, like $27 a month. But just to take pictures and figure out what your plants are, it's free.
Hey, Nathan.
Yes.
If you've already taken a picture of something, can you import that picture and find out about it?
Yes. So this is my snap history. This is all the pictures I've ever taken with it.
It's already on your camera.
And it doesn't save it to the camera, but you can save it to your camera roll if you want to.
But my question is, I was just up in New Hampshire and I took pictures of this flower. I don't know what it is. Could I have this app and then import that picture and have it tell me, or do you have to take the picture through the app?
Yes, you can access your photos and import pictures into Picture This.
I like it better than the Google Lens because you take a picture and you put it through Google Lens. It gives you half a dozen things to choose from. So it's up to you to decide what it is you're looking at.
Besides Google, if you could do something and not go into Google, that's probably a plus.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I use it.
Here, here.
That was just in my library, and it scanned it and told me what I was.
Okay.
Thank you. It's called Picture This.
Picture This, yes.
Goodness.
Bless you.
All right, and what I want to end with today is a website. And I heard about this on a podcast called ATP, or Accidental Tech Podcast. And what's amazing about this website is it has all of the Mac operating systems from System 1 all the way to the early 2000s, around 2004 OS X Tiger, that you can run through emulation in your browser. So let's run System 1 from January 24, 1984. It boots it up. It's so much faster than it was at the time. and it's just running in your browser. So you can open the system disk, and you can even open up Mac Paint. And draw.
How are you doing this?
This is all in the browser. This is this website called infinitemac.org. And so they've collected all of the operating systems, starting with System 1 all the way through OS 10 Tiger.
You know what's really funny about that is I get where I volunteer, we get really old Mac systems that have the original like OS 8, and you know, and it really is a mind bender to think back and remember how to actually work those.
So if you
You
go
know,
to
because there've been so many advancements, like when we got to OS 10 and everything, it was kind of like a step forward, and it's really funny to go back and try and remember all the
there's
all the
OS
menu
9.
organization and everything. Huh.
Glenn, does it matter if you have a Apple Silicon Mac or an Intel Mac for this to run?
This is web-based. It's through your browser. So
It's just through Safari.
Yeah, I bet Apple Silicon probably, well, yeah, it probably runs it faster, I bet. Wow.
If you want to run FileMaker with it, could you add programs?
Wow.
No, it just takes the programs that are already in there, but FileMaker is in here. Yeah, FileMaker
Oh, there it
2.
is. Holy moly. Huh.
Wow.
Doesn't this give you some idea about how much more horsepower the current Silicon has?
Mm.
Wow.
And then it even has so as the Microwrite Claris works, Excel, Word, Nicest Writer,
Hmm.
Reflex. That's under productivity. Under publishing, there's PageMaker, Quark Express.
I think I found Photoshop in there somewhere.
Yeah, in graphics, there's Photoshop. I couldn't get 3.0 to work, but 1.0 works.
If you had something, let's say you open Claris CAD, can you enter a drawing that you have on your own computer and play with it?
No, this is all within what the owner of this website has put has emulated. So it's I guess it's all his stuff.
It's a closed demo, basically.
Yes.
And that's probably why companies like Adobe and Apple and stuff don't freak out and shut it down, you know, because it's a closed demo. You know, you can't execute your data sets on it.
No free lunch. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of no free lunch, Nathan, it seems like the picture this now costs $39.99 or $3 a month, something like that.
There's a lot of different plans. I think the one I have is $27.99.
Okay, so it's not not free.
It's free to just identify plants. But if you want all the extra features.
Oh, okay. I guess I should read that more carefully then.
Yeah, it's really.
It even has some of the next step stuff.
Oh wow. Huh.
Oh, that was such a good operating system.
Unix.
Mm.
By the way, I still have a bunch of t-shirts from the Next Step user group that was here in Austin.
Now, what I've noticed is that once you start getting into OS 10, then it starts slowing down a lot. I guess these earlier operating systems were a lot smaller, so they could run better today.
I've got 4 of the old beige Macs.
the small ones, from, I guess, 1983 or 84, I guess. Oh, no, 85 maybe. And they're great. The only problem is the capacitors leak, and then you have to have the capacitors replaced because when they start leaking, it causes damage to the boards, to the wiring. So,
This is a NEC system?
No, I closed that. I thought it was taking. This is probably going to take a long time too. Some of the later stuff.
Nathan, something has happened to your audio. You've been very weak for the last few minutes.
Turn up the gain a little bit.
Get closer to the microphone.
Who was describing capacity?
Can you hear
that's
me?
much better. Yeah. Who was describing the capacitor problems?
I was.
What system were you just referring to?
Well, 6.0.8.
Yeah, but I mean, what machine type?
It's the Mac SE.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had dual floppy. I also had the single floppy with the hard drive. I got a couple of others, and some of them work and some not so good because the capacitors have leaked. And
Those things. I mean, those things had really simple, in a manner of speaking, they had relatively simple power supplies, and that ought to be a pretty easy fix. Really, I mean, they're relatively easy to take apart too.
They sell. There's a place in Denver that will either recap your Mac for you, or they'll sell you a kit to do it.
Yeah.
And they are they're very helpful. But it's just a God. I have to look up the name here again. I just find that it's kind of fun to look back and see how far we've come.
Oh, that's the thing is, I think the SE and even the earlier Mac, the all-in-one, the original, they, as I recall, the power supply board, it was the video and power supply, and it was basically a two-layer. In other words, it had a front and back side. It didn't have it wasn't like a four-layer board.
No.
And so it was really easy. I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty easy to fix those things.
Yeah, nothing was
Peter and Charlie,
right? Peter.
Say again?
They were all through hole mounting on the capacitor.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They were really straightforward. No surface mount to speak of.
Yes.
Peter and Charlie, you're talking about the SC. I had an SC Super Drive that I later. It's now an aquarium. I turned it into an aquarium.
It's a great screensaver. Yeah. Except that's all it.
It's a real thing. In fact, I'll find a picture here and I'll share it with you before we're done.
Yeah. Ooh, well, that's speaking of which.
And then one other thing I wanted to show, that this is another website that uses everything that is on this website, Infinite Mac. This is called Frame of Preference. Someone created this website using Infinite Mac, and it's a history of Mac settings from 1984 to 2004.
What?
And so he
yes.
He went through and used this, and it gives you the directions. So open the Apple menu. The first one was designed by Susan Kerr. And if we go into control panel, that's what the original control panel looked like.
Yeah.
And then it goes through each operating system. 1986, what they did. Just so much work went into this website. It's at ariasluna.org. I'll put the links in the chat.
Aris Luna.
That's
wow.
Cool. That's pretty neat.
And so on this podcast, they were talking.
It's 20 minutes.
The website that in Denver is called applerescueofdenver.com.
Guys, it's 20 minutes to 3. I think I'm probably gonna go to bed before daylight hits. So I'll see everybody next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing,
All right.
Nancy.
Glad you were here, Nancy.
Good morning, Nancy.
Bye, Nancy.
So there's the history of system settings in the chat. And then the other website is infinitemac.org.
All right. Thank you for
Wow.
the.
Well, I was going to say, if you have an old G4, I got one of these things that was a junker, and if you take it apart, it was the one that looked like half a snowball.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
take it apart and glue the CD drive opening shut, you can make it into a dandy lamp. I just put a
There you go.
yeah, and it's got you can just hang it like that. Anyway, I couldn't think of anything else to do with it, so I thought, what the hell, yeah.
Those bodies were in color, is that? Peter?
Yeah.
Those bodies were in color, is that?
No, these were the old it was like a white sort of half dome looking thing with an arm
Looked like a
with
snow
a
cone.
screen on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the part that sat on the desk? Okay.
Yeah.
It was only white.
Yeah, and I've seen where people have they take the arm and they use the arm to make the upright part, so it's like a desk lamp or a table lamp. But this one's like a hanging lamp, which is easy. I'm lazy, and also had
That's the iMac
the
G4.
light socket thing. So yeah.
You must be in England.
Can you guys see this?
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
Nice.
So what I did was I basically took the front cover comes off, put the actual aquarium in there, and for the filter, I drilled some holes in the top and ran the tubing out there, and then I just kind of sat, right next to it or behind it somewhere, the little, just compressor I had running to run the filter. And then you can see it was just little beta fish in there. So I call it the final upgrade.
I thought that was a fighter.
Well, you got to put them by themselves. So
yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember which model it was where they discontinued it, but the early ones, and it might have been the SC and the original, but there was an address. I used to have it in my checkbook. There was an address that you could plug in. It was like put in the address space G, I think, and you'd hit the programmer switch and enter the address, and it would put up. It had 4 screens that had pictures of the developers of the system. In other words, the hardware guys. And I'm sure that's somewhere on the internet if you go and look. But I thought that was a pretty slick thing where they had some extra space, and the pictures aren't high res or anything; they're kind of low res pictures. But it's kind of a nice Easter egg kind of thing.
Too bad they don't do that anymore.
Nathan, did you have one other thing you were going to share or not?
No, not tonight. I'm done. But I do. Speaking of Mac history, I just wanted to let you know that David Pogue is working on a full color 750-page history of Apple 50 years, and it's supposed to come out in March.
Yeah,
I'm holding out for the Windows version. Ha ha ha. Yeah. The universally reviled, yeah.
All right. Well, there's one other thing then that I was going to share with you guys tonight. So let me pull this up real quick. I don't know how many of you have really kind of delved into AI these days. Can you see this here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just one of the AI programs. It's Claude, which I tend to use a lot, especially with writing. And so
You asked me to send a reminder.
For the our meeting reminder we sent out, we're
It is.
our officers meeting last week. We're going to talk about it, and we're like,
Thanks.
God, that's going to sound pretty boring. So I asked Claude to come up with something that'll make it sound fun. And for those of you who read that little write-up that was all Claude. And so you really can use it to spice things up. Like if I put here, I'm just going to let's see. Give me a second.
Is this a version that's complementary to GPT?
It's just a different AI. That's all.
Hmm.
Okay, so y'all can see what I wrote here. Let's see what it comes up with. I just did this off the top of my head.
Oh my.
And so you can see, so it, I asked him, make it sound exciting, so it was kind of like, now if I tell Claude, I'm not going to, you guys can read all that if you want. I'm not going to read it to you, but let's say I'm going to tell Claude, please make this shorter and more business like. Let's see what Claude does with it now.
Hmm.
And so now you can see it got rid of sort of that language and made it much more business-like instead.
Yeah, you could put that on a slide. In other words, put it on a PowerPoint slide and
Yeah.
here's our bullet points. Here's where we're going to cover. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know if you guys have, kind of done that dive and there are a number of different AI models, whether using Chat GPT, using Claude, using Google's thing, there's a bunch of them. And I find that they're all, what they do, some of them are stronger than others, just depending on what it is you want to do. I like when I'm looking for writing tips and things that I want to, kind of jazz something up, I find that Claude does a real nice job with that. I like what that does. And so, I will use that on occasion to kind of help me. And sometimes it's just, I'm trying to write something. I can't think of what to write. And I'll just help it kind of, help me brainstorm ideas. But, it's a great little tool to use. And so I find with Claude, I like its conversational style and I like its writing tools. If I'm doing more research stuff, I find I like Chat GPT and sometimes I'm blanking. What's the Google one? Somebody help me.
Gemini.
Oh.
Gemini. Yeah. I find I like some of their research tools a little better. It just, but it's a great thing to delve into. If you haven't played with them, I recommend it.
So Glenn,
Question? Yeah.
yeah, the reason I've shied away from it is I have this sense, which may not be accurate, that if you're going to use one of these things, it'll crawl through all of your data that you now become part of the Borg. And is that true? I mean, do they go through all your everything on your computer, your contacts, your everything?
No.
No, but now I have heard different stories out there about, them scraping the web. And there was just who was it? Just somebody, Internet Archive just like cut, the AI models off from scraping data from them. But as far as I know, it's not going into my computer and finding anything. But can I tell you that 100% for sure? No, I think the only person's computer they go into and go through all their data is John Connor because they know that he hates AI. So, right, John, John, I think they're after you.
That's well, the Claude is a web-based tool, right?
Yes.
That was interesting. I thought the first example that you pulled up was interesting because it showed that it was where, in other words, it had crawled to the point to where it knew about the M4 series and, it knows that there's a new OS coming out. Yeah, I mean, it obviously, has trained itself in such a way that it knows what the hot topics of the day are. It knew about M4s, right? And it wasn't saying, oh, the prospective M5s that we know nothing about and so on.
And it did it pretty quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was a pretty decent present. It was wordy, but it was good. Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's like I said, the next step I did was, I asked, and I could have kept the same wording, and I've done this off where it'll write something, it'll say, if you notice down there to ask me, do you like this, or not? And I'll go back and say, be more concise, shorten this up, or, address it to a certain audience. You can change the
Yeah.
the tone of it, so
Yeah.
it's really responsive in being able to do all those things and really kind of modeling that writing on how you want it, what you want it to sound like.
I thought it was really interesting when you specified business-like, because it instantly, if you will, it went through and put a very short descriptive passage at the top, and then it had bullet points. And business people really like bullet points,
Right.
right? And I thought, oh, that's an interesting switch. In other words, it was less wordy, cut to the chase. What are the hot spots? Boom, and you're done.
Yeah, if you're not afraid of AI, then I would tell you guys just to go play. Just to test and here's how I kind of test these AI models out. And by the way, I'm sure you all have heard Chat GPT 5 version 5 just came out. Although it's had people in an uproar because when the engineers put version 5 out, they took down all the old versions that people had built models on using those things, and people are in an uproar. They've now put the older models back up, but if you're not, afraid to, adventure into AI land, what I do is I love to test the AI. I will pick a topic that I'm well versed in, and I will ask it to problem solve for me something where I already know the answer, so I can see what it comes up with and what its thought process is for me. And it's you can kind of test the differences when you try out some of these different ones and see how they differ in what they're coming up with. And so I urge you all just to go out and try some of this stuff, have conversations, ask it to solve problems, ask it to write something for you. The only thing I will tell you is if you want to do the real complex, deep problem solving, on these models, that's when you got to have the paid subscription. You're also, by the way, limited on these, how many queries you can do a day or a week on the models. If you don't
Glenn, I have a question for you. Have you found a model that is good for looking up how to solve problems on your computer that you might otherwise have to go to Apple support for?
I've tried stuff like that out just because, again, but there were things that I knew the answer to, and I was just testing them. And I would say they all did what I needed it to do. So, for that specific example, I don't know that one was better than the others, but they gave me, not only they didn't just say, give me one answer. What I liked is they gave me multiple things to try. Try this. If that doesn't work, try this. And so it really was a troubleshooting tool.
Well, that's getting it to rephrase itself. But can you do what ifs? Like, you give it a question and then you say, well, what happens if I change this plus to a minus? What happens?
Well, let's try it here. I'll let you tell me what you would like me to ask.
I don't know how to do those. I'm just good at asking questions.
Well, somebody give me an example and we can put it in and test your.
Well, Glenn, do you know, is there a site that you can go to that gives you kind of a concise idea about exactly what you're talking about? In other words, list out all of the various AI engines that are publicly available. And as you said, like when you generate a query like you have here with Claude, is it you don't have an account. They may know what your IP is, but they don't know. In other words, you haven't signed in. You don't have an account there, correct?
No, I do have an account here and I'm signed in.
Okay. So so that's the thing. Is there a site that tells you, like, that aggregates all these different things and says this one's stronger on this set of queries as opposed to this one? In other words, give you like the Consumer's Digest version of like all these different AI engines so that you can you more accurately target what you're trying to do instead of having to do a question and answer and like some kind of long drawn out examination session of each one of these things.
My guess is yes, but I have never looked for that.
Oh, I see.
It's
POE.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've got to think that there are multiple pages that will do this for you because, with AI being so popular and competing for people's dollars, I got to think that there are reviews and comparisons all over the place. I've just never tried to do it.
And Chat GPT, as it stands, could probably answer that for you and give you a chart.
Well, I
Oh.
tried the one thing I've tried with ChatGPT was just for fun, just to see. I went there to the public site, and it was probably three or maybe four. And I said, "Oh, tell me how to write code, generate some C code for me that will do push button debugging on an Arduino," which is a that's a pretty constrained problem. And it came up and it gave me code that that I already had figured out and gotten a copy of and tested myself. So that was in a sense that Glenn, it's what Glenn was talking about, where you give it a problem that you've seen before, and it comes up with some code, and you go, oh, yeah, well that should work because I'm using it, So anyway,
There's a phrase that you may or may not have heard of: vibe coding, VIBE, and that's what all the hip young people call it when you're using AI to help you code. And I've thought about. I know I've a friend of mine he's a game designer and teaches game design theory at Stanford, and he told me that he's used AI models to literally create games on the fly. I actually wanted to see if I could use an AI model at some point. I might do this to help me write an app, and I'm not a coder. My coding skills are very limited, but I'd be curious to see if I could actually create something, just using AI. I might put that to the test at some point.
hmm. Well, I think it depends on the nature of what you're trying to do. The thing that the example I gave is really constrained. In other words, and it's well characterized. I mean, when you push button in the real world, it bounces. If for a couple of milliseconds, the contacts will bounce, and it'll make like a multiple open and closure kind of thing. So if you're trying to get like you're trying to advance one iteration. When you push the button, if you don't debounce it, you'll get a bunch. It'll bounce 10 times. And so this is a well-known problem. It goes way back into the ancient past. And so as a result, you say, oh, push button down, and then you wait a few milliseconds and you go back and test it again and say, is it still down? If it is, you say, oh, it's a one. Boop. And you're good. And so this is well characterized. I thought, well, surely what does it do? And that was kind of my test. But I think more, I've got another one for it. Like, anyway, it has to do with GPS clocks, how do you extract the data out of a GPS clock signal from a satellite? And that's my next project. Anyway.
Again, your problem is if you don't get the paid subscription to these things, you're limited on your queries, because there are times where I've sort of gone down the rabbit hole. I sit here and you start, but then eventually I run into the wall of, sorry, you're out of questions, for the day. So, and I know some of the things, like I said, this friend of mine the one I was mentioning a minute ago, he does have paid subscriptions and uses some of these, and he's described some of the deeper stuff that he's really gotten into using AI for, that without the paid subscription, you wouldn't be able to do. So there are limitations with the free versions. And by the way, when you go out and do this, really, these AI models are becoming the new internet search, because when you go out, whether you're on Google or, I use DuckDuckGo for my, internet, but when I do a search, I'm seeing there's the AI answer as well as the other links. And I'm finding myself more and more looking at the AI answer because generally it tells me what I need much quicker than going to some websites. And then it shows you where it's getting its information from, that you can then follow, where the AI model came up with that stuff. And so I really feel like as we go along in the next few years, I think that's going to become much more prevalent, that our internet searches are going to be using AI models rather than just the traditional, Google, DuckDuckGo, whomever, internet browser search.
Well, that's really interesting. I wonder, what I find with Google, and I wonder how it's going to work going forward, where I find that constructing a short, concise search argument is really critical. In other words, if you make your search argument too long, then it goes off into the weeds or it gives you a bad answer. And I wonder how that'll change. Will it become such that there's a gnat flying around here? Anyway, I just think, will it, is it, how's this going to change? And will it make people smarter or dumber?
I think a little of both. I think, it depends on how you use it. And by the way, Peter, that wasn't a gnat. That was an AI bot checking.
a nanobot. Yeah, that's like trying to drill into my head. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we're about out of time for tonight, guys. So good conversation, though.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I wanted to recommend something. Perry Belcher, who's based here in Austin, he's a marketing guru. Every morning at 8 o'clock, he has something called AImorningclub.com. It's a Zoom meeting for 1/2 hour, 8 to 8:30. And they talk about the latest things going on with AI. And I highly recommend it. Most of it's over my head, but at least I'm getting a good idea of what it is and where I need to go with AI. And so you might want to check it out. I think it's
Oh,
worthwhile.
Phil, how do you find that?
It was it's HTTPS, colon
Yeah.
slash AI Morning Club, all one word, .com.
Wow.
And they have a new speaker every day.
Hmm.
Well, they
Wow,
have
that
have
sounds pretty
some.
good.
Yeah, Perry talks on Monday, and then they have other various
Oh,
speakers for the rest of the week.
is it 8 o'clock Central or 8 o'clock Eastern or 8
No,
o'clock?
it's correct. Central. It's right here in Austin.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing that.
Sure thing. I think you'll really get something out of it with some of the things they've been saying have been amazing.
So just one thing to throw out there. I was listening to a podcast with Kara Swisher, and she had a couple of AI experts on, and they got talking about how much energy AI sucks up to do what it does. And of
Yep.
course, with energy, it also takes water for cooling and all that. And evidently, a Google search uses 1/10 of the energy that an AI search uses. So there's that to keep in mind. I mean, realize doing a search, you're not going to like save the planet by, using a fewer electrons. But I thought that was because the way Google search does things, and I guess you're also getting some AI in there, but it's a lot less energy intensive. So
Well, that's why we are ramping up the whole energy sector just to meet the future demands of AI are going to be incredible.
yeah, but all the water that they're sucking up, we don't have enough in Texas. Or if we have it, we get it all at once.
We can own you some. We're in Missouri. We have plenty. We have the Missouri
We have flooding, but we don't have regular water, regular rain.
There are times, there are times we're up to our eyeballs in it.
Yeah.
I wonder, what I understand is building the model. In other words, to build the LLM or the large language model, that's where the energy comes in. Once you can the model, in other words, once you build the model, then actually running the model actually takes a fraction of the energy it takes to actually build the model.
But if it's
And
adding more stuff to it to stay current, it's
no, I understand that. That's the thing, is it depends on how often you rev it and how. I mean, this is a whole other topic of endeavor to figure out, right? Is to, and I mean, how do most people? It's like you just say, oh, AI, and it's like this big black monolith. We're like the chimps going up and touching the monolith in 2001, right? And it's and it's like really it's more complicated than that, I think.
Definitely interesting topic to delve further into for us.
Yep.
All right. Well,
in case nobody noticed, there were 32 participants in this meeting.
Actually, at one point we had 37, I counted.
Really? I guess I looked at it late.
We were late logging in.
Yeah, it fluctuated, but I was kind of looking at that because we had a real nice turnout and a nice turnout from both groups, so that's great. Hopefully, you guys found the topics interesting tonight.
Wouldn't have stayed otherwise.
We've got a lot of expertise in this group. It's really really nice to share.
It's really convenient to be able to do this on Zoom too, actually,
Yeah,
without
because you can have
driving
people
around.
from other places, other
Yeah.
clubs.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, everybody take care and have a good night.
Yeah.
Y'all for coming across the river.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Later. Oh, thanks for